Welcome to SoulWhat, a SoulTopia production. Every Tuesday, Michelle and Roger Welch take a deep dive into the intriguing and proactive world of metaphysics, a world beyond our human perception. They'll talk to empaths, readers, and other guests from all walks of life to find out what's hiding under the surface, uncover the mysteries of our modern world, and reveal the answers you need to live a happy, healthier life. Now, here's your hosts, Michelle and Roger Welch.
Hello, everyone that is watching live tonight and will be watching later or listening on any and all platforms, podcast platforms. I drew a blank on what this is, a podcast, right, Roger?
Yeah, I know. How'd you do that?
Yeah, I don't know, but I'm excited, and we're all excited to have our first guest on, and she is perfect, I believe, for the kicking off the new year, right,
Yep,
Roger?
That's right.
And we have met via these Zoom meetings for quite a while. Her name is Michelle Marie, and she is a certified tarot and oracle card reader and Western and Vedic astrologer. Her practice is dedicating to helping her clients understand the spiritual lessons and avenues available to them through astrology and tarot. Astrology, tarot, and Vedic studies provide the keys to questions regarding career, relationships, family, finance, wellness, and anything else involving your current or past lives. Because Michelle has experienced the healing power of astrology and tarot firsthand, she is dedicated to sharing these valuable and insightful tools with others. She looks forward to getting to know you and helping you live your best life here, now, and into the future. And I am going to try to read some of these incredibly impressive credentials that I may have a hard time pronouncing. So we'll get Michelle when we bring her on here in a second to correct me and help me learn, and all of us learn potentially some of these words or acronyms. Her credentials are, and I'm sure there are more because she kept it nice and succinct for us, but these are plenty, trust me. Certified tarot and oracle card reader. She's a member of, and I don't know if it's the British Association for Vedic Astrologers. I don't know if we say BAVA or BAVA maybe. And she's a graduate of the Camilla Academy of Vedic Sciences. She's a presenter at international conferences, I know too, just for you. And she's a teacher at the Twilio Academy and a decade-long student of Yoga Vedanta. You're going to say this one for me, Srinvasan, and she's also Yoga Acharya again, and former director of the Simvada Yoga Vedanta Center in Chicago, Illinois. Welcome to SoulWhat, Michelle Marie. We're so excited to have you.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, and you did great.
Oh, thank you. You're so kind.
Yeah.
We have wanted to have you on for a long time, and it's always been in the back of my mind. And of course, we have mutual friends in Amy Zerner and Monty Farber, whom, of course, we think the world of. Look at your beautiful jacket. And that is an Amy Zerner haute couture. Many people listening, including our SoulTopians, love and know Amy and Monty. And you want to go ahead and announce Monty's having a class just while we're at it?
He is. He's actually, will be having a class. We'll actually post it out this week. And it's going to be Monday nights in March. So four weeks of class on astrology.
Right. And so that's how many SoulTopians. We have almost a whole Monty and Amy section in the SoulTopia stores, right? Yeah, we can't keep things in stock. But back to Michelle Marie, and I'm just going to say Michelle, is that okay, or do you go by both?
That's fine.
Okay. Well, what do you usually go by on shows? Michelle Marie or Michelle?
Oh, either.
Okay.
So Michelle Marie, yeah.
Well, we'll say Michelle because I love it that you spell it with two L's, just like me. So the 2L club for Michelle's. But of course, we would have Monty and Amy on a lot, but we know how much they adore you. So I was like, let's do it and have you on. So we're really, really glad for you to be here. And I wanted you to tell people, I read this wonderful bio, and it was interesting how you do both, I think, Western and Vedic astrology, because it seems as though, at least for me, and tell me if I'm wrong, that a lot of people tend to focus on one or the other. Is that true, that statement, first of all? And if so, how did you come to do both?
Oh, goodness. Well, I have been studying Western astrology since I was 9 years old. So
Wow.
I was, yeah, we moved around so much in the military that it was kind of my icebreaker. Every time I moved schools, I would just ask people questions and try to guess their sign. Um, so I've been studying Western for a long time, not professionally. I didn't do it professionally until 2001 when I was in college. Uh, and that's when my sorority sisters said, there's this metaphysical clinic, you've got to meet the owner. She's great. And maybe she'll have you do some readings for some of her clients. And so I go down there and she's like, let me see your chart first. And she looked at it. She goes, oh, Mars and Cancer, you're perfect. So we're going to get along great. So I'm like, okay. And so I worked there for a while, which was a lot of money, $20 an hour back in the early 2000s. Like, my rent was
Right.
$400. So it was
Right.
like the best job ever.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
how long did it take you to learn it? Are you still learning, obviously, but
Oh,
how long do you
I'm,
feel it took you to to be able to not have imposter syndrome about it? Let's put it that way.
well, because I've been doing it since I was a kid, just for fun, it was just something that I grew into. And it wasn't until I went into my Vedic studies 3 years ago. I'm in my fourth year this year.
Wow.
I graduated with my I guess graduate master's is what they call it at the Camilla Academy, and now I'm taking all of the advanced classes moving forward and going to international conferences and stuff for the Vedic side of things. But it wasn't until I joined that group that she looked at my dharmic chart, which indicates what I'm supposed to be doing in this lifetime, and she goes, oh, okay, Michelle, you're remembering. You're not learning. You did
Hmm.
this in past lives. You're remembering. And so that was such a just confirmation that I was in the right spot,
Hmm.
that I had that Mercury Ketu, which is South Node conjunction in the 10th house of Pisces, and a Ravati Nakshatra, which indicates that I was doing Vedic studies, astrology, etc., in past lives. And I'm just carrying it into this one. And it's part of my career in this lifetime. So that really gave me a lot of confidence. And that was 3 years ago that she told me that. And it completely changed my life trajectory. I still work in tech because I got to pay the bills. You have your business as well. But I'm moving more and more into this, less part-time, because I'm getting more clients and more
Sure.
interest, because I basically got the green light from my spiritual teacher, so to speak.
Right. Yeah, I could see you move. I would have assumed, and assumptions what they say, but I would have assumed you were full time in this. You never know. So, and not that people have to be. We still
No.
need people. I always
Mhm.
say this in all areas of the workplace that are helping people in the workplace that might not, come to people and things like that for readings or for help or astrology and things like that. Astrology is so popular right now. It seems like,
Oh,
right?
it definitely is.
Yes.
We have a whole section in the store that's nothing but astrology.
Yeah. And we
Candles, keychains,
have,
decks, everything.
you name it,
Books,
we have
galore,
it.
yeah.
Right. It's just so popular. And it's at the front of the store because that's what a lot of people now, and especially younger people. When I say younger, everybody seems young to me now. I literally was at the doctor the other day and he said, can this person sit in? And then he was going to kind of had on free people pants and they went like all the way up. I was like, what the heck? I know they're high waisted, but good grief. And I have long legs. And so literally, I was talking to the guy there, the young person there, and I said, "Does he need to leave the room since he's in high school?" And they were like, "He's a third-year medical student." I was like, "Okay, forget it. I am officially old." I mean, it was so, and I think my doctor's a year younger than my oldest son, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So I was like, "Oh, forget it. You have now. I should be cool and not give a darn what anybody thinks, but I don't know if I'm ever going to get there, right?" That my chart does say that.
That you're going to do that or never do that?
No, that I'm going to always care what people think.
You need to change that chart.
I know. I think I'm kidding, actually.
No,
but
she's not.
I got a reading from Monty at Reader's Studio about 4 years ago, and Amy kept slipping in and out. She was getting ready for bed, and they had a big suite, and a friend was with me, and I still have all of those notes. I didn't record, but just quickly was writing, and I read them back and circled everything and highlighted and sent them back to Amy and Monty, and they were like, "Oh," Monty was like, "Oh, I'm good." And I was like, "Yeah, you really are good at this." I mean, and the thing about it is how much with astrology, yes, there's some interpretation in it, right? But also there's a lot of things that are just jump out at you that are, I guess, would you say that they're set in stone, less free will, or just more obvious? What would you say about that?
Well, this is my opinion and also many astrologers' opinion that when we're born, the energy of which our soul vibrates is reflected with the astrological components in the sky. Right. So we can look at a natal chart and determine your personality at birth. Now, when you go into the Vedic, it tells you what the planets do from your natal chart to your dharmic chart, because you have more than one. Mm-hmm. And so your dharmic chart reveals what you're supposed to be doing in this lifetime and what changes and challenges you can expect that are meant to change your vibration. Because mm-hmm. this is a place called Mritya Loka. It's the place where all things come to suffer and die in the end. Mm-hmm. And it's actually a very beautiful thing, because what it forces us to do is chip away at all of the shadowy energies, all of the darker energies, and mm-hmm. literally leave them behind, let them die with our bodies so that we can ascend to a higher vibratory level upon death. Okay. And so that's what the dharmic chart reveals. And for some people, it can be very difficult, especially if, like, let's say the sun moves 8 signs. That's Ashtamamsha. That's really difficult energy, a lot of unsettled events, a lot of upheavals, maybe some deaths, as opposed to perhaps the sun moving 4 signs. Then it's like, oh, okay, well, that's a little bit more natural of a progression, and it's more built on a support system. So it just kind of depends on where the planets go from the birth chart to the dharmic chart, which allows me to kind of see what upheavals are coming, what blessings are coming, what soul contract you signed up for. And then you get all the way to 60 divisions deep, because the dharmic chart's only 9 divisions deep. And that shows me your soul in its rawest karma. It's all of your past lives and what particular karmic blocks you struggle with on all of the planes of existence, whether they be the heavenly realms or the lower vibratory realms. And when I say lower vibratory, those are actually some of the most beautiful realms, because they keep us in the material and they keep us stuck so that we can't focus on the more spiritual ways of thinking and of being.
Right. That's where I am. I ground between what I call heaven and earth, instead of, because otherwise we're just kind of, we're like this. What are those tire things? So you ground on earth. So I say ground, in the heavens where you think you're from, or whatever you want to call it, and ground in both. And it's really helpful. But I want to be not grounded, but just up there, and I don't want any of this. I just want, I'm fine if that's all flopping around, right? And it's just like, I don't have to be.
Kind of like those used car.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, like a big Gumby or whatever, yeah.
Big Gumby. Gumby flag flying around.
Yeah, I admit it. Yeah. So that makes sense. Now, do you put and maybe you said this, do you tend to put I'm sure this would take a lot of time, but the Vedic and the Western together?
Well, the Western creeps into my Vedic practice just because I did it for so many years. If I'm working with someone like a client who is from India and strictly Vedic, I stick strictly to the Vedic. Like I don't go into any of the outer planets. I don't mention Uranus or Pluto or Neptune because the Rashis, which are the ancient sages who came up with Vedic astrology, didn't incorporate those planets into consideration because they felt they were more they affected things more on a collective level and less on an individual level. And in Vedic astrology, it's all about working on the inner self on an individual level and kind of chipping away at things so that you can reveal the Atman or the Holy Spirit within you.
Right.
And so they really wanted to focus on personal development and things like that. But there are also charts that come up that the reason I incorporate the Western, but the reason I really went into the Vedic is that you can get so specific. Like I can look at your chart and find out exactly what ancestral gifts you picked up from your parents.
Wow.
I can tell you what kind of car you need to be driving. I can tell you the time period in which you're likely to get married and meet your spouse. It's so specific. And Western, I mean, you can look at that with the Gochara, the transits, and really get a snapshot of what someone was like when they were born. But Vedic takes it a step further. It shows you your past, your present, your future. It's more of a kind of a 360 view. And it's also a different calculation, which I thought was really interesting. I've always identified as a Leo because that's my sun sign in Western. And as it turns out, I am a Cancer in the Vedic tradition in Pushya Nakshatra. If I read it, it really does fit me. However, the way other people see me is very Leo. And so my Aruda Lagna, which is something that's described in Vedic astrology, is how other people see you. It's not necessarily who you feel you are on the inside or who you are on a soul level. It's the Maya. It's the illusion that people see when they look at you. And it's in Leo. So that's where I made the connection. So you can make a connection with the Western and with the Vedic. And it's just so fun to do that. But
Would that be loose? I know this is very basic for you probably, but would that, what you just described, be kind of like the rising or ascending in the Western? Okay. Yeah.
You are so smart. Okay. Yes, that is exactly right. So you have your Lagna, which is your rising sign, and your Aruda Lagna is what other people see you as. So that's the rising sign that like people from the outside looking at you see. It's kind of like your mask, like if we're all a masquerade and you're, you got like this beautiful blue and silver kind of mask that you're wearing. Everyone's seeing that blue and silver mask. They're not really seeing you, which is the Lagna. That's part of the illusion.
Gotcha.
So with Western, because we have the app, I have the app on my phone, and of course
The one that Monty.
the one that Monty recommended. But with the apps and with computer programs, super easy nowadays to just say, "Oh yeah, I was born at this time, this place. Here's the date. Bam. Here's a chart." So how is it different? How did you create a chart without the computer, without the apps?
Okay, well, this is why Vedic kind of spoke to me because I remember looking up at the night sky and measuring it and figuring out what was going on in that time. And it wasn't matching with the Western. It was the tropical calculation. And so I went, why are things they're over 20 degrees off? What's going on? And it was because the sidereal calculation, which is different from the tropical calculation in Western astrology, it moves with the sky. It moves with the Earth's axis. So it's the exact mathematical fixed star calculation at this moment in time. Whereas Western was set over a couple thousand years ago, and then they made the seasons and the months based off of that. So it follows more of a seasonal calendar, which is what tropical does. That's the Western. And the sidereal, which is the Vedic, follows the exact math in the sky at this moment.
Oh, wow.
So you can get yourself some pretty great equipment. There's actually an app called Stellarium, and it takes you in the area that you're at, and it shows you exactly what constellations are above you and around you and where the planets are and what they're in alignment with at that moment. So
now I know that, did you have a follow-up to that, or may I interject?
Go ahead.
This is so fascinating to me, but I know that one of my big questions is I can't remember what this is called, but when you're looking at, let's say on that app or whatever, you would have someone like, I know Teresa Reed, I can't remember what she uses, the tarot lady. She's been on the show a couple of times, by the way, too, or more than a couple, and tarot takeaways. But she uses one thing, and it's the KOCH. Somebody else uses something else, and we had a reader that actually would use the whole WHOLE. Could you address that? Because it's all those things that make me wonder. Okay, that could change everything. How do we know that what we're getting? And I do believe in the law of attraction, and we get what we're supposed to get and all that. But what would you use, number one, and why? And part three to that question will be, what difference does it make? And I know for me, on the whole one, when I got that reading, she's really young. And that's what's going to follow up. I did say young people are loving the astrology. But and she was so good at it. And the whole and I can't remember what it was. It just made so much sense to me. Maybe it's what I wanted to hear. I don't know, because we do that as humans. Like I want her to say this. I really don't want to hear that. But those three things, just kind of why the different ones, and how do we know that that's still accurate, for lack of a better word, and how do you decide? I think you understand what I'm asking. I hope.
Yeah, it kind of comes back to the cultural context of things. It's like Chinese astrology is going to be different than Egyptian. Egyptian's going to be different than Babylonian. Babylonian is going to be different from Vedic. There are several different types of astrology, and looking at the stars and calculating them and having an open mind, I think, is the most helpful thing that you can have when visiting an astrologer, because they're coming to you with their own interpretation of the energies that they're seeing. And everyone's going to be slightly different because culturally we're all different.
Right.
For me personally, I loved Western astrology. I thought it was a great stepping stool into Vedic. And the calculations that I use are the Vedic Lahiri system, a sidereal calculation. It's called Lahiri, Lahiri, Lahiri. And it's also I use mean nodes, which is another thing in Vedic astrology, is some people use true nodes, because especially Western astrologers, because that's just what they're used to. The way I chose my particular practice was, one, I had an amazing spiritual teacher who taught me this, but two, I've been keeping journals of different transits and planetary energies for years. And I go back and I look at those moments, not just from my own life, but world events,
Right.
past clients, etc. And I found that particular calculation, the sidereal Lahiri mean nodes, just it lined up with what I was seeing, if that makes any sense.
It does.
And
Yes.
someone who's, for instance, a Chinese astrologer, or a one of the many Western astrologies, like Babylonian or Sumerian, they're going to look at it a little differently.
Right.
So
Right. I understand what you're saying. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's just like any other way we choose to use a modality. There might be slight differences between the quote unquote reader that we go to, yet we receive at that time what we're supposed to get, because that's what clicks with them, and that's how they connect to their message, I would think. That'd
Yeah.
be sort of how I think of that, right?
Makes sense.
Yeah. But do you remember what I'm talking about too? With and that came up a thing, because a lot of people were like, "Wait a second, I'm on my whatever's in the 10th house, but you're saying it's in the Monty's chart would be it's in the whatever, and it'd be that what it was set to."
Right.
Do you remember that? And it changed, like for me, where I think in the 10th house it was 10th versus 9th, and it changed something small. But enough that it changed it to a completely different house. So it was interesting. And of course, he had a great explanation, but I was the slow person in the class. I had to go back later. And I don't mean that rude. Okay, I don't mean that mean or disrespectful to somebody in school. Let me disclaim here. But for his class, I was the one going, "How are y'all getting this so fast?" And I know what happened. Someone very early on, and I was told not to do anything growing up, anything having to do with tarot, whatever. Well, I had an aunt that said otherwise, so I was taught many things. But it's just like, I don't know. I was just not. I was told not to do it. Like, oh, this is something, and don't mess with that. And it stuck with me, right? So I was in the class going, okay, first of all, we were the offering it, so I didn't want to always be the one raising my hand, because he gets a lot of people, or you, I'm sure you would too, getting people, the same person wanting to get all the attention and get their chart read. And so I would
That's
be
Michelle.
quiet. It's usually me, but since it was SoulTopia, I was quiet and giving other people's turns, right? But it was like I just was the slow person. I had to go back and listen to the tapes like 3 times. And then I found out there were a couple more that they were really quiet. And I was like, were you one of the ones that were slow? And he's a great teacher, but it just takes me a little while, because I haven't been doing it since I was 9 years old. It's a lot. It's a complicated practice. It's very, very, someone who just picks up astrology, let me just say, and you've been on TikTok, I pick on TikTok, but anybody, and you think after a week, you know how to be an astrologer, I'm sorry, no, you don't, right? You might get one little tidbit that you might say, but you really don't, right?
Yep.
No, you don't.
Well, it's not like, well,
In
some
my
people
opinion,
read cards
in my opinion.
strictly, by intuition, and astrology is, you can't just go straight off of intuition with it.
Not alone,
Yeah.
I don't think.
I
You
think
need
you
to
got to
know
have a
your
little bit of an
craft.
outline. It has a good skeleton to it to actually build up to that.
You know why it was so hard for me in class too?
Pay
Because
attention.
I was so afraid that one day I missed somebody and I didn't admit her. And we called them, and we all got to know each other at the end, Michelle. But at first, it was the SoulTopians and the Hamptonians, and we didn't know the Hamptonians at first when the first class first started. And I forgot when he was out doing a clearing or something, and I looked up, and it was kind of the chat was off the screen so that I could see what Monty was writing. And she kept doing admit, I'm supposed to admit her. And I don't think I ever did. And boy, she wasn't happy. And she turned it out to be the most lovely person, right? But I don't blame her. She's paid good money to hear, and everybody wants to hear him. And I was just like, oopsies, I've got to start paying attention. I can't really participate in this class because clearly I can't multitask. You remember that? We heard about that for a
She's
week.
not good at multitasking.
No,
at
I
all.
can't multitask. But it's interesting to me that you do combine so many things. Do you layer a third layer, let's say, with your tarot? And you may have already mentioned that, but do you layer that in? Because boy, I'm thinking I want to sign up, but this is quite the task. Or do you let people decide, like, you can purchase this reading versus you get 3 layers of reading? I mean, how do you do that?
Well, when it comes to a first-time client, I recommend a minimum of an hour and a half because there's going to be a lot of questions. There's a kind of a getting to know you. I also have a free 15-minute just kind of get to know me on my calendar for my website so that people can kind of loosen up a little bit. And that's the main the first meeting, I think, in my opinion, is the most important because I spend about 3 days doing a PowerPoint of 60 slides or more, looking at their chart, looking at remedies, looking at past, present, future, really, really going deep into their particular chart. Afterwards, they can do another hour and a half or a relationship. If they're having issues with their relationship with their children or things like that, they could do I could look at both of those charts. They could do a quick 45-minute based on something that's bothering them. They can do a birthday chart. I can tell them it's called the Varshapal. I look at what your year is going to look like for that particular year, starting on your birth date. Like, for instance, if someone came to me and there was an eclipse on their birthday, I would have a lot of remedies for them. Or if I saw Saturn stationing over one of their major planets or something like that, I would give Saturn remedies. And those remedies include aromatherapy, they include gemstone therapy, they include a mantra practice if they're comfortable with that. They include yoga asanas that they can do. There's a treasure trove of remedies attached to,
So yeah, I call that like layering. You're just layering all those. Not that they're separate layers, but it's holistic. But it is a type of layering, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Do you have you looked for the year 2023 to see if there's any major things happening,
Yeah.
astrologically? So what's going on?
Oh, spill it, spill it. We
Okay.
want to know.
Okay. So the big thing is that on the 17th, we have Saturn going into Aquarius, and he's going to stay there. He's not going back into Capricorn, because Saturn in Capricorn is what brought us COVID.
Okay.
So, in the Vedic sense of things, so that was fun. We actually had a stellium occur in December of 2019 in the nakshatra of Mula, which involved the nodes. And Mula is ruled by Nriti, a form of Kali, goddess of destruction. And a stellium eclipse is huge. It's a big deal. And so in the Vedic astrology community, we're like, okay, destruction is coming. It's going to be on a worldwide level. There's tons of planets involved in this. What's going to happen? And then we got civil unrest. We got COVID. We got economic hardships. We got all of that. So that was when Saturn was just moving into Capricorn, going from Sagittarius to Capricorn. Now, just to give you guys an idea, Saturn is the lord of our karma. And because he's been in his own sign of Capricorn for the last 2+ years, and he's going to move into his sidereal sign of Aquarius in January 17th of 2023. So like I said, during his time of Capricorn, we had COVID, we had civil unrest, we had climate issues, we had political upheavals, more. Now, that's because Saturn is very strong in both Capricorn and Aquarius, and he's asking us to face our issues with practicality and responsibility. We were asked to relook at our careers. We were asked to take a look at our health and how we manage our health. All of these were tests to force us out of whatever comfort zone that we were in and into something that was very uncomfortable, so that we were forced to change. Now, the good news is he is moving into Aquarius this year, which is, in my opinion, a little lighter energy, depending on if you don't have any planets there. But the really good news is this year he's not forming any conjunctions with other planets, because those tend to cause a lot of issues for the collective. But he is going to bring each of the astrological signs different challenges this year, especially for anyone who has planets in Aquarius. So if Saturn is going over, if you have any planets in Aquarius, I've got a moon there, he's going over you this year, and you can expect some really intense karmic challenges, some lessons, some extra responsibilities. And if he's going over your ascendant, this can bring about a major change in your career, and you may want to start thinking about how you can transition into something new that supports and serves others. If he's going over your sun, he can cause an identity crisis, issues with authorities, and ego battles. So you need to kind of watch what you say to your boss and father and government officials and things like that. Otherwise, you can
I'm in
suffer.
trouble. I do that all the time. I better check my chart. Sorry, go ahead.
No. Oh, it's fine. If you have a natal Mars in Aquarius, then again, this is the sidereal calculation. It's going to be difficult to get things done. My husband's Mars is in Capricorn, and these last 2 years have been very difficult for him. So if your efforts are blocked, work through your frustration through spiritual remedies. And of course, I mentioned a few of those earlier. If Saturn is going over your natal Jupiter, if you have a Jupiter placed, this would either be toward the end of Western degrees of Aquarius and into Pisces. That's kind of where you see it, because there's a 25-degree difference here. So if he's going over your Jupiter, this can bring issues with spiritual teachers and gurus. So you may struggle to understand where they're coming from, or there could be some disagreements with them. Okay. Relationships can end if Saturn crosses your natal Venus. If you wish to stay married, know that you can resolve these conflicts in your relationship by not really fighting this energy, but instead seeing it as a teaching situation or an opportunity. If Saturn is going over your nodes, that's the north and the south node, he can bring up unexpected and unsettling karmic issues. Okay. Shani activates their malefic energies. That's the reason for that. So Ketu, which is the south node, he can bring forth an expense that you've overlooked, and Rahu can bring forth confusion regarding your ambitions, because he's all about ambition. The north node is what we came here to do. So Saturn is basically asking us all to deal with karmic issues from a very practical perspective and not give up. So this is, it's a basically we're headed into a time of reassessment as a culture too. And in my opinion, the United States is heading into a big one.
Gotcha.
So Yeah, I mean, there's a lot here. So if you're in Aries, Saturn is transiting your 11th house of profits. If you feel money blocks, know that this is Saturn's influence. Avoid arguments with siblings and try to work things out responsibly. If you're a Taurus, Saturn is transiting your 10th house of career. This can add a lot of pressure in your workplace. Take this energy in stride and try to fulfill your responsibilities to the best of your ability. If Saturn is this year, Saturn will be transiting your 9th house of travel. If you are a Gemini, also involves the guru and the father. This is not a good time to travel when Saturn's there. And if you do, you can expect a lot of issues and delays regarding travel. So you may have some issues understanding spiritual teachers or some difficulties regarding your father as well. So just see this as a test of patience. If you are a Cancer, Saturn is transiting your 8th house of transformation and inheritances. This is difficult. It's called Ashtama Shani. It's a time of major upheaval. This is the person I would say contact me for remedies if you have like any active planets in Cancer, because that's a big one. In Leo, Saturn is transiting your 7th house of relationships. That can bring about the end of relationships if you're not careful. These blocks are there to test your resolve and work out any issues with your partner in a very amicable fashion. Practicing patience with your spouse is really key here. If you're a Virgo, Saturn is transiting your 6th house of karma yoga and service and pets and hidden enemies. This is a great position for Saturn. He blocks your enemies. This is a good time to do service, but also watch your pet's health. Do you want me to keep going or?
No, it's wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess also, and you may have covered this, but is there anything else that is you mentioned 2019 and compared, some things, but is there anything else on the overall chart for this year that compares to something that's happened in history? I think you did mention something like that, but that really jumps out at you.
Well, the things that everyone needs to take heed and pay attention to, because even if they are not huge on a collective level, which one of these is, and I'll tell you what it is in a second, these affect us all personally, depending on which house that they're taking place in our chart, and especially if this happens on one of your natal planets, and they're the eclipses that we get each year. So eclipses usher in we see it as malefic energy. So it's important to look at where they occur in your chart, look at the house they occur in, see if, like I said, any of your natal planets are close to the eclipse degrees. They occur on the Aries Libra axis this year. And in October, we have a Virgo eclipse because that's where Ketu, or the South Node, is moving. So if you have any planets in these signs, you'll want to practice caution. And if your sun, moon, ascendant is ruled by Mars, Venus, Mercury, the eclipses will affect you on a very personal level. And the first one we're going to have is on April 19th, 2023. It's going to be a solar eclipse in the sidereal calculation of 5 degrees and 39 in Aries. It takes place in Ashwini Nakshatra, which is a very medically driven nakshatra. It represents the Ashwini Kumaras, which are the positions to the gods. So that could be a time of, it could bring forth healing, but it's also going to bring forth a few upheavals in that area. It involves Rahu, Mercury, Sun, and Moon, and it's going to be in Uranus, opposite Moon and Ketu. So there's quite a few planets involved, not as many as the stellium we had for Corona, so that's good. The second major eclipse we're having is on May 5th, 2023. That's going to be a lunar eclipse, and that's at 20 degrees and 47 in Libra in Vishaka Nakshatra. And that's with Ketu opposite Sun and Bharani, with Mercury, Jupiter, Sun, and Uranus. So there's some bigger planets like Jupiter there. Now, Vishaka is all about stepping toward the heavenly gates, but not quite being there yet. Like, you're not quite ready to leave the material world. You just have a few things that you need to let go of. So what that's going to do on a collective level, in my opinion, is to cause us to shed a few of the material aspects that we're carrying around in order to open the realm for spirits. Then we have another solar eclipse happening at 26 degrees and 56 in Virgo, and that's in Chitra Nakshatra, which is all about the celestial architect. And that's with Mercury and Ketu. So that's going to bring up a lot of past life stuff. We're going to be repeating some historic cycles during that time, especially in the United States, and it's going to require us to restructure everything.
What's the date on it? And I have this, I just did this on my calendar, but
that's October 14th, 2023 is when we experience that eclipse. And
Okay.
then October 28th, 2023, this is the big one. This is a lunar eclipse. It's at 10 degrees and 57 in Aries, again in Ashwini Nakshatra. It's with Rahu, Jupiter, and Uranus opposite the Sun in Libra, with Mars, Mercury, Ketu, Mandi, and Galuka. Now, Mandi and Galuka are other shadow grahas that they're the sons of Shani, the sons of Saturn, and they're kind of like the nodes. They create a lot of karmic upheavals, and if we're not on the dharmic path, they're kind of like snakes. Like if you're out on a well lit, maintained path and you stay on the path, you're likely to be okay. But if it's nighttime and you're going out in the woods and there's snakes, that's where Mandi and Galuka are. So it keeps us on the dharmic path, and I think that's going to be the major energy there. But with those two in Ashwini, I think the focus should be for the collective on health, on how we view health, on I think a lot of secrets are going to come out regarding food, and issues with food, because that is the main thing that, affects us in our health moving forward. So I think medical stuff is definitely going to be, something that people are more focused on in 2023, just based on the eclipses in Ashwini. And especially the one in Virgo, which also is all about focusing on your health and seeing the physical body as more important than maybe some of the material stuff that's outside of us, because we only get one of these. So,
Right.
and then we've got some positive energies with Jupiter coming, so that's good.
Yeah. There we go. Got a positive.
There is a major thing that's coming. It's called the Guru Chandala Yoga. You said, are we going to have a repeat? And I said, do you remember 2016 when there was Brexit and the demonetization in India, and Brazil and South Korea? They both impeached their presidents that year.
Yeah.
There was a Syrian civil war, and it killed like 500,000 people. North Korea was like, they were throwing nuclear missiles at Japan. Russia was interfering in the U.S. election. Trump was elected president. There was a lot of energy that year. Like, whoa. Well, that was when we had something called a Guru Chandala Yoga. That's when the Guru, Jupiter, and Rahu, the North Node, are conjoined for a long period of time. So they form an exact conjunction on May 26th, but basically from April 19th all the way until October 30th, we can expect some upheavals to go on, kind of like the ones we experienced in 2016. And what it does is, what Rahu does is he creates fears, he creates illusions, he creates insecurities, and he keeps Jupiter from kind of keeping the energy pure in the house that he's in. And because he's going to be in Aries, Aries is the warrior, so it can cause people to act out, if that makes sense.
Again. Yeah, 2016, but we've had it. Yeah. Behave, people. Come on. We can do it.
Well, the good thing about that is when Jupiter does go retrograde, it's going to cause us to kind of reinvent ourselves and our narrative and how we're seeing things. And then when he goes fully into, when Rahu leaves Aries and goes into Pisces, he'll be able to really set things straight. So it's kind of like when you clean an aquarium and you shake up the aquarium and all the mud rises to the top. This is like literally dumping it all out, giving it a good wash. It gets dirty before it gets clean, is kind of what's going on. It's
really interesting. Yeah. You are so well versed in your craft. I just am listening to you, and it's just so helpful. And right, I mean, it's like, oh, I'm just in awe. So thank you very, very much for giving us some idea. Do you use shift gears just for a second? Do you use, for instance, could an S Corp LLC, a business, come to you for a reading, or for lack of a better word, I'll say reading, for their stores? I say store because I'm talking about us, but for their company, for their corporation, for their mom and pop shop. Could they do that? Okay.
Yes, I do corporate charts. I look at the founders charts, and I do what's called a Kundalini. You normally only do that with marriage, but you can do it for business partnerships as well, just to kind of see the dynamics, the strengths and the weaknesses that each people bring to the table. I also look at the chart of the actual LLC. When was it started? When was it founded? And then I ask, where were the days where you experienced a lot of success? and a lot of trial. And then I find out who your helper planets are and who are the planets that are really challenging you. And then I look at the Gochara, which are the planetary transits for the year. And I could say, okay, this is the best time to really push that sales campaign, because Jupiter's going over, whatever part of the LLC that's really positive. And this is going to be a great month. Or, wait to publish your book, because Saturn is transiting the 5th house right now. Wait until he goes into the 6th, where he can fight off all your enemies and competition and things like that, instead of blocking your creativity and your gifts. So once that happens, then, put your stuff out there. Things like that. So,
and it's interesting for people who think that, oh, no one, and I don't think anybody might think this, but I was an attorney ad litem for a good friend of mine when I got my divorce, and I worked with my ex-husband at our law firms. And so for a while, one of the judges, it's a very good friend of mine, and her husband is I can say this. The DA, he's supposed to come on the show for like a year now, right? We'll get him on here. I think he's nervous. He goes, "Can you make me look like Matthew McConaughey? If you can, I'll bring you on." I was like, "Well, we could stick a picture of him there and you could talk." But no, I can't make you look like him. Sorry. But it was interesting because I was an attorney ad litem is someone who, it's different than a guardian ad litem. The attorney ad litem actually is hired by the judge to advise the judge about the law and to what's going on with the facts. Typically, if it's a really complicated case or maybe a family law case where the judge is just like, just what do you see? What's going on? And they could use a guardian, but I would be an attorney ad litem since I'm an attorney to some of these cases. And I want you to know, this is interesting. And I'm not giving anything away, confidential. The mother, would meet with her because the father never showed up, and the grandparents showed up. And the mother, one of the things they were trying to use against her, they being the other side, the grandparents and the father, was the fact that she wanted, and she was in Dallas County, which at the time was not so open to any of these things, and it was actually Cullen County, and she wanted to use the fact that, do you remember this? Mm-hmm. The fact that, and they wanted to use against her the fact that she in the hospital wanted to wait to have her baby for a couple of days. And they thought we need to induce, they being the doctors. And she wasn't the due date. And she was, so I got to talk to her about, well, why do you want to wait? And fortunately, she got the right attorney ad litem. And, I got, the medical things. It was not life-threatening, but it was just something they kind of recommended. And she wanted to wait. It was I think it was a couple of days. It might have been 3. And they had her in the hospital in case there was an emergency. Mm-hmm. But it was Vedic astrology. I'm almost 100% sure it was that she believed in. And I was there to be able to say, no, this should not be something, in my opinion, based on, unless the child was absolutely was going to have imminent harm, imminent danger. Mm-hmm. And that, to me, I'm sure so many of those stories, but it was tied into a custody battle. And I have never really forgotten that, because I was able to say, I don't think this should be a factor that goes in the negative column or con column against her. Mm-hmm. And probably anybody else that was attorney ad litem on that case probably would have said, can you believe she did that? Yeah. Right? So, I find that, have you heard of things like that where people...
I have. Yeah, it's a really big deal. Now, can I ask, was she of Indian descent?
She was.
Okay. So that clears everything up. In India, astrology is viewed differently than it is in the West. Mm-hmm. It is an actual science. Right. Like I have because I studied under Camilla Sutton, I have the equivalent of a master's degree. Wow. It is a degree that you can actually get in India, and you are considered, and right now I'm taking PhD courses this year with her.
Congratulations.
And it is, yes, thank you. So it's, what you're describing is the moment of birth is if it was 2.5 to 3 days, she wanted her baby born under a different moon.
That's
in addition,
correct.
that would put her baby in a different tithi. So she was looking for a more auspicious moon and tithi, which would then bless the soul of her baby in life moving forward. It's not just it's an integral part of life. Before getting married, you go to a Vedic astrologer, and the parents sit down. It's part of the arranged marriage process in India. Is if the kundali does not match between these two children, they're not going to marry them. And this is usually done in higher caste families who have a lot of money that's going back and forth. So it's extremely serious. And whether it comes to choosing a date to get married, which I've done, whether it's having the birth of your child, it's choosing a spouse for your son or daughter, which is just another practice in India, or, doing it yourself and really wanting to find out what to expect in your marriage. That is, or having a child, the best time to have a child or to conceive a child. Like I can look at the Ashtaka Varga, and that tells me the times that a woman is more likely to be fertile. There's so much that goes into it. It's extremely specific, and it is a very integral part of the Indian culture and life there. And it's considered to be a higher science. It's just like Ayurveda, or it's like being a medical doctor in the United States. People take it extremely seriously.
So
Here,
according
because
to, I'm sorry, but so according to her, a belief, and now she is under the laws of the United States at the time, but according to her belief and the belief of India, that should have gone for her in the pro column, because her wanting that child to be born into more, as you said, auspicious, the word you used, fill in the blank, I can't remember, 2 or 3 days later.
That's correct. Auspicious, blessed, yeah.
Then she, honestly, that should have been put as her being a better mother, as long as the child wasn't imminent, almost a better mother, right?
Yep.
I would argue, according to her beliefs. She was trying to be the best mother she could be, so I find that fascinating that you added that. You guys, this has been so interesting. We're up against the clock, right?
Yep.
Roger, do you have any other questions? Because I
do not.
And so I want to, before we close out, or do you want to do our readings first and then ask her about how to reach her and all those kinds of things? Oh, we need to give a prize out. So let's give our prize.
Okay, go for it.
Okay. So they always make me think of the question, and then that wastes 5 minutes of the show. And Matt, you're so dadgum good at questions. So, we always have to hear your radio voice. So come on.
I don't know. Let me think about this for a little bit.
We could do what to.
Before you say it, start watching, because they're going to be fast. Yeah.
Okay.
Last time we
Name
missed
one
them.
one
Make sure
type
you're
of
looking in the right
astrology
place.
that Michelle does.
Oh, you better be fast on that one.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just name one of them. There's 2. Just name one, and you're the winner.
They've got to get it exactly right, because that's an easy
I feel like they
question.
can name both if they've been paying attention.
Yeah.
I think you should.
I just couldn't spell one of them though.
It doesn't. Which one? Don't say it. But, yeah, why not? It's like me trying to read the credentials, which are so impressive. Anybody?
And of course, last week I found out the reason is everybody was on the SoulTopia one.
Oh.
It's not the
Yeah,
SoulWhat.
we missed
Yeah,
them all
so-
last week.
So
And
we
then
missed
later we
all.
go, oh, they all guessed, but we just gave it to Matt.
Somebody
Matt,
got it.
you're like
Yeah, we did
hiding
get
it.
somebody
And
get
so
it.
Matt just like, let me win.
No.
I'm kidding. Have one yet?
What'd you get to give away?
I did.
You went in there and
They
got
win
it.
you.
All right, Leslie wins then.
Leslie, winner. Okay.
You have it
and
there, don't you? Or did you?
do I
She
have
had it right in front of her.
what? Oh, can we give 2 prizes? Oh, that's the prize.
That's the
Okay.
prize.
Yeah.
Can
No, we got one.
Hello, it's been a long day.
Leslie, you
What's
win.
my name? Okay, so you want to hold up what she wins?
It's the Stacy DeMarco 2023 Lunar and Seasonal Diary.
You know what? I feel kind of bad. Let's give one other thing away. Not that I don't like Stacey DeMarco, but let's have one quick other question. Are you okay, Matt? One quick other question, because
Okay.
I want to give away one of Amy and Monty's products, and we'll give away one of their because that's how
You have to come
Michelle
up
and
with
I
a
know
question.
each other. Dadgummit. Matt, what's the
Nope,
second question?
we said you.
Okay, we're going to be here a long
I know
time.
we are. That's why
Okay,
we
so
only do one.
the question is going to be, what degree, and you don't have to say specifically what degree is Michelle Marie pursuing right now? And I said, that's impressive. What is it?
It might be tough.
I thought she was going
come on.
with degree because we kept talking about degrees. I don't know, 20 degrees?
Well, what are the letters for it? Okay, you don't have to say in so-and-so, 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 with so-and-so, but I could answer it. I should win.
I bet you couldn't.
I bet I can.
Not the
It's
whole
not fair to
thing.
answer if you ask the question.
She's got the answer in front of her over here.
Yeah, she's
I'm
a
not
good
even looking. Kind of. But no, I said that's
Angela got, oh, wait, no. You know who got it? Paranormal 411.
Paranormal 411. Congratulations.
Dan.
It's Dan? Dave?
Dave.
Dave. Hi, Dave. It's nice to see you. So, what's our, do you want to, we're giving a Monty and a Monty.
It'll be a
for-
Monty and Amy surprise.
And it's not going to be.
Because I don't know what all we have out there.
It's not going to be the tapestry that goes behind my couch because that would really be. And again,
very nice place.
Michelle has one of their beautiful, Amy's
said,
beautiful
"Thank you."
jackets on. Yeah, so 2 winners tonight. Yeah, is the back, is it, let me see the back. Oh, and that jewelry. Look how pretty you look. We love collecting those things. There's something I want that Amy made, but I can't tell Roger yet. Oh, it's so gorgeous.
Wow.
Oh, I love that. So you see, you guys, these are all sold at Bergdorf Goodman. And if you're friends with her, you can buy them straight from her, right? Some of us, because we're special. Michelle's special too. I bet that's gorgeous. I love the colors in that one.
You will not be
Yeah,
winning
even
that
the
either.
even the tag that says Amy Zerner is just
Oh,
gorgeous.
oh
I mean,
yes,
Yeah.
that's worth.
She's
Yes,
yeah.
she's amazing.
So
They're
detailed.
some of the kindest people that we know.
One
when
of them.
you-
One of them is.
One of them? Are you going to say which
Nope.
one?
You'll just have to guess.
They're both. Yeah, and they are, to me, the model mentors for being in this business. Isn't that beautiful? Yeah, just so much detail. If y'all haven't heard about them, they're going to be back on soon, right?
Yeah, a couple of weeks.
Yeah, in a couple of weeks for Monty's class, right? That we're going to
Yep.
advertise again. All right, we're going to do 1, 2, 3. This is our lightning round. Matt, you're going to explain how to do it because you're more succinct.
Okay.
I'll talk about it for 10 minutes. You'll talk about it for 1.
I'll talk about it for 10 seconds. So yeah, basically everyone watching choose 1, 2, or 3. This will be a general 1-card reading. Can we stop bumping the mic?
Yeah.
I hit it on purpose while Matt was talking.
Acting like a fool.
For the coming week. So pick 1, 2, or 3 right now. Whatever you pick, whoever reads for that, that'll be your message for the coming week.
And every time you hear this on the mic, that's me. I didn't even wear my SoulTopia bracelet so it wouldn't
she's
happen.
still clanking
and I
around.
still hit this. I need a new
It's a
mic.
good reminder that I need to do a little work over there. so
Christmas
take care of
present,
that next
but
week.
Christmas present delayed for Michelle. A mic that doesn't do that every time I hit it because I talk with my hands.
Yeah,
Not exactly
I've
the
got
mic.
one right over
forget
here.
it.
I'll swap it out.
It's not
Okay.
exactly the mic.
So are you playing along, Matt?
No.
Okay.
No.
So Matt is bowing out. So we will have 1, 2, 3. And we said that I want the 2 because that's what I always choose for Michelle. So I'm going first. So you guys, for anyone who got in your mind the number 1 for this week, I am reading for you. And your reading is going to be a very positive one. I'm going to say number 1s, and I know a lot of you listen later, so I can't say get the question in your mind now. And by the way, these are all, I won't set the intention for Michelle Marie, but if she agrees to this, I just say for the highest and best good for the people reading for. That keeps it pretty succinct. All right, you want to hold it up? This is from Radiant Wise Spirit Tarot by Les Scarabo. So here's what I get. In a positive way. So if you had a question and you want the answer to be yes, like, oh, well, I get the job that I really want and I get my raise, the answer is going to be yes. But I'm going to add to that. I'm going to say, I always say this is a great card, but what came up with me tonight is don't be smug about it. Like, really, there is action. Whoa, the wheels are off the show now. Okay, so there's action in the law of attraction. So don't just be arrogant that everything because I rarely sense it, but I sense some arrogance with this 9 of Cups with some of us, not everyone. Some of the ones, I know that's a strong word, but that's how it feels. Like, well, I've got it made. It can come and go, you guys. So keep being humble and keep staying in your purpose this week. Obviously, that's 1 week. So there's some reason or something that's going to come up tonight or this week where you need to have a little humility. Believe in yourself, but a little humility too. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Of course it does. No, I'm kidding. I'm so humble. There you go. All right, Michelle, you're up. And we do call these lightning. We keep them pretty short, even though I ramble. Okay.
Okay, well, I am using the Intuition Oracle by Monte Farber and Amy Zerner. Mm-hmm. And I pulled the future card. I plan for the future with respect for the unexpected. Now, I notice that this person in the front here is holding a scroll of books, texts that they're taking with them. This, to me, is a card of study, a card of opening us up to a new way of looking and thinking and being. But you notice that there's kind of a shadowy angel here. It could be seen as either a guardian angel, or it could also be our shadow self that's keeping us away from our true path. So I think that this year, if you run into those unexpected things, the way that you can respect them is to take them with the heart of more of an intellectual and less of from an emotional stance, if that makes any sense. Yeah. If some of the new things of being and expanding your world tend to frighten you or cause anxiety, push those things away, because know that Spirit does have your back. Those unsettled energies are there to force you out of your cell, and those unforeseen events and life events only mean to help you glow brighter and help you push through a lot of the fears that I think a lot of us are still dealing with after going through some of the traumas of 2020, okay, and 2021. Obviously, we're 2022, we healed a little bit, but then there was the economic stuff and other things. So if you fear about your future, know that these unexpected things are asking you to go into a field of study. Because I did ask for a clarifier card and I got the 9th house from Karma Cards. And this says that this year will be a time where we are asked to expand our thinking, look outside the box, take a more aerial approach to our situation and a less personal one. And if you're thinking about developing a new spiritual practice, this is the year to do so. Jupiter is going to be in Pisces until April 21st of this year, when he goes into Aries in the sidereal calculation. And he's going to be meeting up with Rahu until October 30th. So practice a lot of discernment when picking a spiritual teacher. But this is a good year to really expand your studies and to look at things from a new and unexpected way, because it can help you plan your future with a much broader and more successful approach.
Yeah. Thank you. So. I always pick 2, so that's great.
Very good.
All right. Are you up?
Oh, number 3s. Okay. So this one is the Ouroboros. I've never even seen this card in this deck.
Did you say what you're reading with?
No, it's my Mystic Martian Oracle deck by Rockpool.
This is your favorite deck, I think, now. Yes.
And it says, even down here, it says infinity, eternal, past life. But what I got is actually you have some things that you've kind of pushed back behind you that you didn't want to deal with, okay? And because you haven't dealt with them, now you're going to be forced to deal with it. And it sort of seemed like it's the reason you didn't want to deal with it was because you were scared to deal with it. But it's not as bad as you think it is. It's really that you've taken the time to push it away from you, and it actually changed your perspective of that situation. So now you have a better situation to deal with it. So now it's coming back up, coming back around. You're going to have to deal with it. And this week is actually a good time to start working on that and moving forward. And the cool thing is that with this, working on it is going to be like a fresh release of life.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, before we read our announcements and a couple housekeeping matters, Michelle, would you tell us what you have going on and where we can find you?
Oh, thank you so much. You can find me at astrologicaltarot.com. Most of my handles on social media are also Astrological Tarot. That's Twitter, that's TikTok, that's Facebook, that's Twitch, that's Pinterest. And but astrologicaltarot.com has all of my links there. And I'm also going to be presenting at the International Joytish Conference. That is going to be from January 26th through the 29th. So if you're interested in that, you can sign up at my spiritual teacher's site. It's Camilla.com, KOMILLA.com. And that's going to be a great Vedic conference. And yeah, I really thank you so much for having me on the show. It was a joy to be here and to read with you guys and to answer your questions. And I really appreciate it very much.
We enjoy to have you. We hope you'll come back. You were a delight. Thank you for all your knowledge. And a few announcements.
So, all right. So this Thursday night, we have Intuitive Insights at Bishop Arts. That one's with Nellie. This starts at 7:30 till 9:30. It's only $20 for that. Friday.
Let me interject one thing because I just want to.
Yeah, I should let you read them.
When it's at Bishop Arts, we have Intuitive Insights there. A lot of people want to know this. That is bilingual, being Spanish and English speaking. So every time it's at Bishop Arts, a lot of people want to know that and attend because it's both. If you don't speak any English, you can still, a lot of people want to come and go to that particular class.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Friday, you have Tarot Takeaways with Devin Hunter, right?
Right.
Yeah, Devin Hunter.
Mr. Devin Hunter.
And y'all are going to be talking about the Five of Pentacles. Okay, that's Friday on Instagram, SoulTopia, and that's from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock. On the January the 11th, we also have at Frisco location, we have a singing bowl and didgeridoo meditation. That's going to be from 7:30 to 8:30.
How do they play those things anyway? I'm not going to let you read it. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're good. If you're not, it sounds really bad.
Yeah.
Like noises from animals that you don't want to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
What's the date? Frisco. It's
Is
one
it
of our first
Frisco?
classes at Frisco.
And no, it's not, but we did one the other night up there.
Oh, God. We did, didn't we?
January the 11th.
Michelle.
January the 11th, 7:30 to 8:30. Singing bowl and didgeridoo meditation.
All right. How much is that?
That's a great question.
Okay.
It's not on here.
All right. Well, it's going to be great.
Yeah, but you can get your tickets at the soultopia.simpletix.com.
Right.
All of our tickets are right there.
Okay.
So that's what we have coming up, though.
Okay. It's going to be great. And always just check online. Roger's great at sending out little reminders of the things. And we were working on the calendar day, and it's packed full of things coming up, you guys. So it's going to be really great. And that's it for tonight.
That's it for tonight.
Thank you so much, Michelle.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Michelle.
Matt, as always. And good night, everyone. Have a great week.
Good night, guys.
Thanks for listening to SoulWhat, a SoulTopia production. If you're intrigued, searching, or looking to schedule a reading of your very own, visit us in sunny Dallas, Texas, or visit us online at facebook.com/SoulTopia Holistic Boutique. And if you like what you heard, subscribe, rate, and review on your favorite podcasting platform to be the first to hear new episodes every Tuesday at 7:30 Central.